Alright, everybody, welcome back to yet another episode of Newsbytes, and well, today's not going to be the longest video in the world, because, well, not too much going on news-wise, so buckle in and we'll get straight to it. Also, timestamps for all of today's topics will be in the description below. So, first topic for today, ASRock has finally released their full B550 lineup details on their website, making them officially one of the first motherboard manufacturers that actually has details of all their boards, not just their high-end ones. Currently, if you go onto their website right now, you can find the B550 Tai Chi, of course, up at the top of their stack, all the way down to their B550M Pro 4, B550M HDV, ITX AC. You get the general idea. Essentially, if you were looking for potential B550 motherboards, currently ASRock is the only one that's really giving you everything from their high-end all the way down to their absolute budget options, so I'd recommend checking it out if you are planning to go ahead and buy a B550 board after June 16th. Also, the last thing that I want to go ahead and note about the B550 boards by ASRock, if you're unaware, currently pretty much most of their X570 boards actually have support for Thunderbolt 3. They generally have a header towards the bottom left of the motherboard, which will go ahead and enable Thunderbolt 3 on that board. Do it on the X570 Tai Chi, Steel Gaming, etc. However, though, despite the fact, especially on the ASRock B550 Tai Chi, if you look in the bottom left, there is the B550 Tai Chi seems to be almost the exact same board in terms of actual layout, but in the bottom left where that Thunderbolt 3 header would be, it's just a blank space. I mean, it's still got the outline, it's still got all the points for a header to be attached to, but it's just not there. Which means if you are trying to go ahead and buy a cheap AMD motherboard and you want Thunderbolt 3 support, you will still have to go with X570 in ASRock's case. I'm not sure if many other motherboards actually go ahead and support Thunderbolt 3 at the moment. I haven't seen many because I searched very hard for them. But currently your only choice really is X570 from ASRock. And the other, well, really major topic that I want to talk about today is something that affects me personally, because I also build PCs for people in my spare time. Something that all these that are currently on my desk have in common. Power supplies, motherboards, graphics cards. They are all pretty much in very short supply at the moment. As you may notice if you go onto Amazon, Newegg, Micro Center, Scan UK, CCL, literally anywhere, you'll notice that there's tons of shortages everywhere, especially in X570 boards. And even more so when you start talking about power supplies, because trying to find a decent power supply at a fairly low cost at the moment is becoming a monumental task. Quite often, I generally go for, let's say, a $50 500-watt 80-plus bronze unit. Yeah, it's becoming increasingly hard to find them for under $70. So as you can see, it's becoming a little bit difficult if you are, one, making your new PC from scratch, or if you do run a small business that goes ahead and creates PCs. And also, RTX cards are apparently also low in stock. I haven't seen this affecting me personally, but I have seen many reports of people not being able to get the cards that they want because they're either in low supply, or the prices are being jacked up due to the low supply. According to some sources, including Gamers Nexus, the current shortages are actually related not to the fact that these parts aren't being produced anymore. It's more the fact that supply is there, demand is there, but the problem is getting the supply to the demand. As currently, with human malware going on, apparently they have these parts by the hundreds and thousands over in the factories in China, Taiwan, etc. But the problem is they cannot go ahead and ship enough of them over to the US, UK, wherever they're going to, due to the fact that it's only shipping freighter. Generally speaking, there might be 2 or 3 containers max that a company will be able to go ahead and fill out, which means that could be only 2 or 3 containers max of power supplies or motherboards or whatever, which generally speaking is not a lot when you're talking about the general scheme of things. And compiling onto that issue, generally speaking, a lot of freight is done by air, meaning that when, of course, you've got passenger airlines going from point A to point B all the time, that means they also take on a lot of freight, which, of course, brings down the cost of, well, air transport. When that's no longer the case, thanks to human malware, instead we are having to, well, essentially rely on either freighters or dedicated air shipping companies, which are extortionately expensive. Which is also becoming part of the reason why you may see a lot of these parts actually increasing in price due to the increased shipping costs. Or, at worst, well, at best for us, but worse for the manufacturer, them essentially absorbing all the margins to go ahead and get the product to us. But yeah, that's where I'm going to go ahead and call it today. Like I said, not too much news at the moment, but that is what it is. So, anyway, timestamps and links in the description below. Like the video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it. Any thoughts or questions, leave them in the form of comments down below. Don't forget to go ahead and hit that subscribe and notification bell for more content from me, and maybe check out my Facebook, Twitch, and Patreon, which can all be found in the description below. Anyway, this has been the 117th Con, signing off. Have a brilliant day, folks, and I'll catch you all next time. Until then, ta-ra.